Recently, I have made a couple of videos on what lantern rings Marvel characters would use, and I thought we would continue that trend today and do it with the X-Men. Somebody left a comment on one of those videos as well saying that I should do this with other team-up groups within Marvel, and I thought, why not the X-Men? That's a perfect fit. Just a couple of quick disclaimer, guys. First of all, this is my second time recording this video. I realized when I was nearly done, my mic wasn't on, so I had to start this from scratch. Within this video, we're going to have a couple of villainized mutants who will make their way onto the list. I mainly wanted to look at some of the most popular mutants and ones that are well loved by a majority of people. And just so you know, Wolverine and Magneto have already been done in those prior videos. If you guys want to check those videos out, the link to them will be in the description below. I might throw them into the video depending on how long it is. But with that being said, let's get into the first character. Starting with the man who started it all and is arguably one of the most important mutants in mutant history, Professor X, and I gave him willpower and hope. Up against a lifetime of discrimination and mental strain, Charles still leads to protect all human and mutant kind through his school initiative and protection for the world against great mutant threats. His mental discipline in his powers and his beliefs in the world show his unwavering resolve. His dream sees mutants and humans living alongside each other in harmony, holding on to hope that there can be a better future. He's also a symbol of hope and resilience to other mutants who seek sanctuary or who have even lost their way. When you think about it, there are a lot of mutants and even characters who wouldn't be who and where they are today without Charles. Charles is almost a perfect fit for those two rings. Then we look at Cyclops. I gave him willpower and rage. He's the leader of the X-Men on the battlefield, and he screams dedication and focus. He keeps control of his dangerous powers every single day of his life and doesn't let anything take control of him or his emotions to do something foolish. Now, situationally, especially during the mutants' decimation, rage can seep out of Scott, showing his darker attributes. He would likely use it in a much more controlled way, but he would still be fueled by his rage for poor mutant treatment. Willpower and rage being opposites would show the difference in how Scott's character can really be. You have one side that is completely mindful and controlled, and then you have another one that lets that control wane and lets the mindfulness slip by. And that just shows the two starkly different characters Cyclops can be. Then for Jean Grey, I have three options: love, death, and life. As Jean, her love for Cyclops, Wolverine, and her other mutant friends and teammates keep her grounded and connected emotionally. Her power is fueled by the people she cares about, and she would stop at nothing to keep her loved ones safe. Now, I think this makes sense. Jean, on her base level, needs a base level lantern. But when she becomes Phoenix Force, she needs something that's going to be much higher in power and potential. So in terms of the Phoenix Force, death and life are a little complicated, as she is technically dead and reincarnated with unlimited power, but she has the power of resurrection, but also pure destruction. She's kind of like the key to the cycle of rebirth, and depending on the power being used, could be a perfect fit for all life or all death. And you know what? It feels a little fitting. Let's just take a look at what I said about Wolverine in one of those prior videos. For Wolverine, I gave him rage and or fear. Just a heads up, most of my points here for Wolverine are going to fall within the rage specific, but I do think that fear can really stem from that rage. I think he could use both of these rings at the same time, but rage is definitely his number one. He's very similar to Hulk in the sense that his rage is fueled by past trauma, but also the fact that he was built into a living weapon, one of pure fury. Through his history in Weapon X, losing loved ones, friends, and just an endless cycle of other deaths and defeats, rage is the only answer for someone like Logan. Wolverine would probably use the ring to better his chances of vengeance and payback, and the struggle of control is something he's very familiar with, so he would know how to level his rage as Wolverine from being engulfed by the Red Lanterns. Really, he would be using the ring here as a weapon instead of the ring using him. Wolverine would either know how to control that aspect, or he would be fighting to control it. We could also be looking at a situation where Wolverine wouldn't even care and wouldn't want any part of these rings and would refuse to wear it. But just hypothetically, if he did wear it, he's red all day, and probably with a mixture of yellow. Now moving on into Mystique, I gave her rage and compassion. Hatred from humankind and the mutant genocides that have happened over history, it causes her to do horrible things and take lives at will. She is a revenge-fueled character who will kill with anger and malice without even taking a second to think about it. However, she has shown empathy for her kind and can do the right thing even when she feels she doesn't want to. The Indigo tribe would seek someone out like Mystique, as she would be a key candidate to redeem her lack of compassion. Now we have Iceman, which I think the choices were a little bit easier for him in terms of other characters on the list. I gave him hope and willpower. He tends to uphold optimism and believes in the coexistence of humans and mutants. He constantly helps younger mutants and mutants alike in general to feel less alone and afraid, as he once felt those ways himself. He's capable of pushing the limits of his Omega level abilities and still keeps control, fighting for the X-Men's true goals and values. Very much so like Charles Xavier and Cyclops, he understands what they're fighting for, he understands what their purpose is, and he firmly and truly believes in the X-Men. Now for Rogue, I gave her love and rage. Her physical touch is what defines this character, yet it is one of the most dangerous things she could do. She loves deeply, people like Gambit especially, and no matter the obstacles, her emotional depth always remains. But her anger could stem from how much she loves. Her hatred for her own abilities and how much they limit her with the people she loves. And when pushed too far, she can lethally lash out, in which her abilities are one of the most dangerous out there. In a lot of ways, where love can be beautiful, and it is beautiful, it can also be deadly. It can also be rageful. And Rogue is one of those types of characters where you can see how love and rage do truly find ways to blend in sometimes. Alright guys, just before we get into the rest of the video, I want to quickly look at our sponsor for the day, which is Manta Sleep. When going to bed, I've never been one to actually wear sleeping masks, and this was an absolute game changer for me. It is by far one of the best sleeping masks you can find on the market today, and it adds a ton of features depending on the one that you particularly buy. The most important feature, however, at least for myself, is the complete blackout sleep that it offers you. If you have any windows in your room that allows for a lot of sunlight, these masks will completely block it out and allow you to sleep uninterrupted. My particular sleeping mask is one that has Bluetooth speakers, but I mean, if you really want to, you can just take it off and now it's a regular sleeping mask. And if that's not something that interests you, don't even worry about it. Just take a look at their vast catalog on their website and you'll see all the different variations of sleeping masks you can buy for yourself, or maybe even someone who needs it. So in the description below, head to the link that will bring you to the Manta Sleep website, and in the discount code of any purchase, input T.M.M for a 10% off and 100% guarantee yourself a darkened sleep. Now we look at Beast, and to be honest with you, he was probably one of the easiest characters for me to pinpoint, and that is willpower. With his resilience, especially after turning into the Beast, and his self-control, he fights for solutions outside of violence, as mutants have already gone through too much of it in the past. Caring for mutant and humankind the way a lot of X-Men characters do, he puts all others' needs in front of his own, showing his selflessness. He continuously fights the pull to darker paths and the aggression that their enemies use against them and the world. Truly, Beast may not be the most powerful character out there, but his mind certainly is. Just imagine if he decided to go down a path path of a Magneto, a Mr. Sinister, an Apocalypse, he could do some serious damage. Who knows what his intelligence could do? Making him stronger, manipulating other powerful beings to his cause, or doing other things that inflict mutants and the rest of the world. It's definitely a relief that somebody of his intelligence level is good. Then for Nightcrawler, I gave him hope and love. His faith and religious beliefs open him up to kindness and forgiveness, even in the darkest of moments. In war or threats of violence, he has learned to show empathy and believes in kinder and more hopeful outcomes. He deeply loves his mutant family, and he would do anything to ensure that they are protected. He firmly believes in unconditional love. And somebody like Nightcrawler, who has so passionately dedicated himself to religious beliefs, to God, and to loving people around him, he's learned how to be more open and accepting and kind to everyone. Now for Gambit, 3 options here: rage, love, and compassion. He is rageful over the multiple wrongdoings he's been part of in his past: the Mutant Massacre, Thieves Guild, Mr. Sinister, and he's angry about how he was used and turned into a weapon almost his whole life. However, he is deeply loyal. He fights for others and loves Rogue more than life itself, even when their relationship is strained. His complexity in nature and personality allows for compassion to seek out Gambit, and it brings him to the X-Men to right his wrongs. In most of these videos, I do make comparisons to certain characters being a journeyman, and I do believe that is what Gambit would be. I think in the early parts of Gambit's career, if you will, he would start off rageful, a little more spiteful. As time goes on, he would come across the X-Men and Rogue, and he would learn how to open his heart to these people, and especially falling in love with Rogue. Then that is when he fully decides to commit to compassion, learning from his mistakes, doing better than what he did before, and even seeking out other people, other misfits as he once was, and showing them that there's a better path. Now for Storm, I have 2: willpower and life. She has unbelievable inner strength and control over her intense and often extremely powerful abilities. She is one of the best leaders the X-Men has, and she fights through fear by acknowledging she has fear, which is right up the Green Lantern's alley. Green is well suited for someone like Storm because very often in Marvel and in DC, I do tend to find good leaders are well suited for willpower. In terms of life, considering that is a much bigger power boost and potential over base level rings, I think thematically and symbolically, she could be chosen as a White Lantern, considering she is a rather balanced character in all emotions. I also like to think that she's kind of this avatar of nature, which would deeply connect her to life as well. Maybe it's just her aesthetic, maybe it's who she is, maybe it's how she looks, her powers, her abilities, whatever it is, all of the above. I do think that she would look great as a White Lantern. Now we have Sabertooth, who honestly was also another really easy option here, and that is Rage. He's purely animalistic in nature and is completely driven by his violent tendencies. He completely hates Wolverine, the X-Men, and anybody who tries to oppose and stand in his way. He uses anger, rage, and bloodlust with absolutely zero remorse. As I said, I think rage is just such an easy pick for Sabertooth, but I will also say I do believe fear could be in the conversation as well. And you know what? Let's take a quick look now at what I had for Magneto in one of these prior videos. We move into Magneto, and I have 3 for him as well: rage, willpower, and compassion. As a Holocaust survivor, he has seen and experienced some of the worst horrors no human should have gone through. Losing his parents and millions of people in his culture, and watching mutants meet those same fates or worse, or treated in similar ways at the very least, it reminds him of the pain he endured as a child. Whereas rage is used against his enemies, he could also be willpower as he continuously stands against the world and acts as a guardian for his species, willing to do anything to keep them alive and safe. He could also be compassion for mutants and their suffering, finally offering help and aid through compassion and peace rather than resorting to words and acts of war in which he's already been part of too many times. But really, where's the fun in that? That's why we like mutants. Magneto has always been one of the more fascinating villains to me, and honestly, I think he's my favorite Marvel character of all time. He doesn't do what he does to be evil. He does it for the betterment of his species, because not only does he truly believe that they are better than humanity, but because he realizes that a higher being has been outcasted, mistreated, and beaten down by those lesser species, and he thinks it's wrong. And realistically, as I said, it goes beyond that. It's about the safety and the survival of his people. I think all three of these rings really fit into how he would wish to protect his people at the best of his abilities. Would he try and get all three? I wouldn't put it past him. I don't think that would work for him, however. And at the end of the day, if you really needed me to kind of pinpoint where he would fall, I gotta say, I think he would be willpower. Okay, last for this video, but of course, certainly not the least of all mutant characters in Marvel, I decided to go with Apocalypse, and I gave him greed and fear. He is obsessed with power and control and believes only he is suited to shape mutant kind and evolution itself. He uses and keeps mutants as his horsemen while using their powers to further his goals. He manipulates through intimidation and believes fear keeps order. Only the strong survive, the smartest thrive, and the most powerful rule, and he is all of those things. But there you go, guys. There are 12 X-Men and or mutant characters and the lantern rings I think they would use from DC. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of some of my choices for these characters, what your choices would have been for these characters, and other characters I didn't mention. What rings do you think they would get? That is all I have for you on this video, everyone. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.